Warning, the following podcast may cause you to question your belief in government, disregard authority, get arrested, be disowned, or deported. Before we get started, we want to remind everyone that if you enjoy the Curmudgeons, then please like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and rate our blog posts. You should also subscribe to the podcast, and you can do that either via the RSS feed or iTunes. We're also now on Stitcher, which is a great free mobile app for iOS and Android. All of these links are available in the show notes and on our website, curmudgeons.net. This is the Secession, Adventures in Ukrussia, or How I Learned to Stop Thinking and Embrace Annexation edition of the podcast.
Some sad news up front on the podcast. The godfather of house music, Frankie Knuckles, has died. The purveyor of such wonderful music, such as... I really don't know. It just makes noises and stuff. And then this other music that was, it also just made noises and stuff. And people danced to it. And it was kind of like disco and R&B smashed together. And then other ones that just sounded like, I don't know, waterfalls and stuff. Basically what I'm trying to get at is this is like the equivalent of Beethoven to some these people that I heard decrying the death of this man today. He made house music. No one even knows what house music is.
I have heard the term house music, but yes. I had no idea what it was.
Modern elevator music.
And then they played some of it, and I thought, that's horrible. Why would anyone listen to that?
Exactly. So while I'm sad that there's a dead person, that music's terrible. Stop.
So is this the precursor to, what do they call that, dubstep, where it's just screeching and bass and...
I actually think all his stuff, I shouldn't say I think, I know for certain that his stuff brought in the rave culture and everything like that. How
old was he?
59.
Oh, okay. Because when they said the name, I thought this is like a guy from like the 30s or 40s or something.
Oh, when they said the name, I thought this is a guy that's like 25.
Oh.
Because they're all trying to be like they're...
What's his name again?
Did you see what I did there?
Yeah.
Frankie Knuckles.
Frankie Knuckles. Yeah, he sounds like a 30s gangster.
Yeah, exactly. Which I think is the whole point, maybe.
Oh,
his original name was
Francis
Nichols.
Oh.
And I can understand why you'd go to Frankie Knuckles from that.
The godfather of house music. When you said Godfather earlier, I thought you meant he wrote like the score to Godfather, and well, that would be sort of sad, I guess. I don't know why we're talking about it, but
no, I just felt that I needed to say that it's awful music, and that if you have any aesthetic sense at all, run and scream
if you're
in the opposite direction.
If you're a house music band, please do not send us emails asking us to play your music on the podcast, because
other bands, go ahead though.
We will play other types of music, but not house music.
Yes, no R&B or rap either, please. What is it with you and dictionaries? This is the School of Anarchy.
This is the School of Anarchy. That's right. And
it's a recurring theme.
As I put in the show notes, we have to talk about Russia Crane, or Crimea, or I don't know what to call it now.
Have you heard something like that, or you're just thinking
I'm just
it
making
needs something?
It needs some slur that the media can throw at it to tell everyone how awful it is.
How about Ukrussia?
I love that. Ukrussia.
Yep.
That's
the one.
All right. So, Ukrussia. I don't want to belabor this too much, but I did want to ask, did Putin really annex Crimea? Because I think they're using the word incorrectly.
Yes.
It has two different definitions, as Aaron said. I love the dictionary. One being the way it's being used, which is to obtain or take for oneself, which is how it's being portrayed, right? And the other being to incorporate a country or other territory within the domain of a state, which is, to me, what actually happened.
Yes, that seems more likely.
So I don't know why they keep saying annex other than... Well, I do know why, but it's...
Because there is this ambiguity, I think.
Right. Well, people only get the soundbite, the blurb anyway, right? All they know is Russia invaded Ukraine and took Crimea, which most of them probably couldn't find on a map if you put a gun to their head. And they don't know where it is, why it's important, why anybody in Russia would care, why anybody in Ukraine would care. They don't even know why they care, except they're being told they should care. And we should send lots of bombs over there.
I really can't add anything to that.
All right, well, then we'll move along.
I talked to my dad about this a couple times this weekend.
Yeah?
Because he largely feels the same way. And you're just stunned. You know, like, how can you, other than being a magnificent distraction from all the ills and evils that they're perpetrating in this country.
Right.
Why?
Why? Yeah.
The Poles, the Russians, the Ukrainians have a say here. You know, to those three countries, this matters. To anyone else? No.
If you look at a map of Europe over the last 1,000 years, the line around any given country has shifted back and forth.
Yep.
You know, innumerable times. So, and it has nothing at all to do with anyone's safety or security outside of that region.
It's not even like they tried to divide it based on ethnic groups or anything like that. They just drew right down the middle of wherever they felt like drawing.
Pretty much.
You know, who cares if we separate these people? These people are now Poles who used to be ethnic Ukrainians, or, you know, I don't know the names of all the people groups over there.
Well, there's too many, and no one could possibly know them.
Exactly, right. So there's Poles that are also, I don't know what's, let's call them X's. And there's Ukrainians that are also X's, and there are Russians that are also X's now, instead of them, you know, all being in the same country.
Yeah, it's reminiscent of the British Raj in India, right? When they partitioned India and Pakistan.
Exactly.
They just drew a line, right?
Right.
And they said, "Oh, you guys on this side, and you guys on that side, and
Muslims on this side."
Yeah. Right. Like they were picking basketball teams at recess or something.
Exactly. Right.
So, the other,
you know, I do have. Oh no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to move to the next point, but you can finish.
Well, I wanted to say, I do have a solution to this problem. We could have something like, I don't know, open borders.
Like non-existent borders?
Exactly. So that we could just be like, all right, so now my aunt and cousin aren't in a totally different country suddenly.
Yeah.
And I think it would be okay.
You know, I'm going to bring up a taboo one here, arbitrary borders, but I was watching a documentary on the Holy Land last night. Oh, no. Yes. And so it profiled a Muslim woman, a Franciscan monk, and like a Jewish guy that I guess he was like the caretaker of the synagogue or something. And the Muslim woman was married, and they had a son, but she had always lived in Jerusalem, and her husband is not allowed from the West Bank. So he lives in a house in the West Bank. She lives in a house in Jerusalem, and she has to commute to the West Bank every weekend to let him see their son.
It's like being a salesman in the U.S.
Yeah, pretty much. So
that's disturbing.
It was disturbing. It was actually a pretty interesting documentary. But so yeah, this arbitrary we draw a line. But back to the main point. Why do we care? I mean, I care about the people of Crimea and the people of Ukraine, but I don't care enough to send people over there to bomb anyone,
right?
And kill anyone, right?
Right. Hey, and you know what? If the Russians build a giant bridge, that's actually a good thing.
Yes. Yep. Absolutely.
That's going to create a wonderful market for a lot of contractors. People will get jobs. They'll be able to feed their kids. It'll be a wonderful thing. A fun time will be had by all.
Now, none of this should be taken as an endorsement of Vladimir Putin.
I don't know. I like that pop song, "We Need a Man Like Putin." Wait, no, that's not true.
That's not it. Yeah, he's every bit as bad as any other politician.
Yes. Possibly even worse, maybe. I don't know.
Probably worse than most of them.
Yeah, at least several.
At least several that I know. But it still doesn't mean anyone needs to go do something about what, you know, if the people of Ukraine or Crimea have a problem with it, they can do something about it.
Yes, they can sort it out. Exactly.
The other point about this that I want to make was the way that this happened, this annexation. Didn't the people of Crimea vote To leave Ukraine and join Russia?
Your vote's not as important as my vote. Let's just get that straight right now.
That's not what I heard. That's not how democracy works. All the
No.
votes are...
No, you're confused. Democracy in other countries is not the same. It's different.
So there are two democracies. American democracy, which is perfect, and everyone else's.
Yes.
Okay.
There might even be a middle ground for places like
Europe.
Well, I don't know.
You do know that Ukraine is in Europe, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean Crimea is. It's part of Russia now.
Sorry.
It's no longer fair.
Right. Russian elections are
it sounds
horrible.
so silly when I say it.
It just sounds
but this
silly
is
when
the
you say it
exact
like
argument they're actually making.
Yeah, the argument is that vote was illegal because this is my favorite part. The referendum, this is from a Guardian article, the referendum seems inconsistent with the Ukrainian constitution, which says all Ukrainians would have to vote on Crimea's secession, not just those living in Crimea.
Oh, see, that's not the best part.
Did they channel Lincoln when they wrote that constitution?
Well, okay, if they channeled Lincoln for that, they got his modern-day defenders with this statement. Arguments about ethnicity also overlook the central question. Who owns the territory that constitute Crimea? The answer is unambiguous. The Ukraine does.
Oh, it's unambiguous.
Yeah,
I just answered it for you, idiot.
This person, whoever this author is, who is this? I'd like to call people out by name when they're crazy. Leah Brill-Meyer. So she's just like the people that drew all those lines 15,000 times in Europe, right?
Yep.
Well, the king owns this part.
That's right. We drew a big circle around us, and now it's ours.
Juan Carlos has laid claim to this area.
Well, I just wanted to point out the ridiculousness of this whole thing.
Yes.
To go back to the beginning, I think the best quote about this is Ron Paul's. It says, "Why should anyone here care what flag is flying over a piece of land thousands of miles away on the other side of the world?"
Yeah, of more concern to me would be the meddling of the IMF, propping up the horribly poor state of Ukraine. That's more disconcerting than any of these pathetic arguments about lines on non-existent ground.
You mean the International Monetary Fund that's headquartered in the U.S. and funded by the Fed?
Come on, that's not true.
We'll do a different show about that one.
Yeah, we have to, because I have some great quotes from Christine.
Christine?
Yeah, I don't use her last name anymore.
I don't know who we're talking about.
Christine Lagarde, head of the
head of the IMF.
Christine, to me.
All right. We done with what is it?
Yeah.
What is it? Ukrussia.
Ukrussia. Yes.
So Ukrussia leads us into our next topic, which is secession.
Yes, indeed.
One of my favorite topics. And the two that I want to talk about are Venice and Scotland. But the bigger question, we'll come back. Maybe we'll come back to the bigger question after we talk about these two. So Venice voted to leave Italy with 89% of the residents opting to form a new independent state.
Yay! I'm not sure what else to do at this point.
Yay, Venetians. And then in Scotland, that one's coming up, and that one, who knows how that'll go. But they also are going to vote in September on whether to leave the United Kingdom and become their own country again. So my question really is around, why have we not seen any denouncement by any Western power over these? I mean, of course, Italy is probably like, no, you can't do that because we want your money. And England will do the same thing to Scotland. But there's been no call from Obama for, vote tampering in Venice or, that referendum was illegal under Italian constitutional law. Why is that?
I don't know. It's something like wealthy residents are opposing high taxes. Let's see. Let's just take the first two words of that. Maybe that has something
wealthy
to do.
Residents? Yeah, it's a really good picture of the hypocrisy, I guess would be the right word.
Yep.
You know, the people of Crimea. It's also so. You're right. The wealthy residents kind of shows it. Like the Crimeans, you just know these people have this mental picture of them like they're these like dirty, grimy people that they live in the Ukraine and they're part Russian, so they're like idiots, right?
Yeah, and the ones that aren't part Russian, they're part Polish, which means they're just absolutely stupid.
They're morons, right? So they can't possibly know what they want. But those Venetians, they're cultured people, right?
Refined, good taste.
So I'm actually,
probably a lot of liberals are questioning themselves right now. They're like,
they're on the fence.
What happened to these people?
So then maybe that says that we will hear that about Scotland and the Scots. They'll be compared to the Crimeans.
So I like the first bullet point, where it's wealthy residents are opposing high taxes which support the poorer South. It's a great juxtaposition of the American Civil War. Oh, wait, but these people are being allowed to secede.
Well, we'll see.
Well,
right?
But this is the part that kills me, right? So if it's not so bad for Venice to do this, why was it so bad for the poorer American South to do it?
Because Lincoln said so.
Yeah, exactly.
Father Abraham. I don't know. We'll see how this plays out. Is there a date yet on when they're actually going to leave? Or are they going to now just... see, this is how cynical I am. I now think that the leaders of Venice will make some kind of deal with Italy to stay in exchange
They'll get their tax rates dropped.
Yeah,
exactly. Something will happen. Yeah.
So we'll follow this one, but
I don't know. It's very hard to overcome 89% of the populace, though.
So that has to be fake, right? Because in Crimea it was 95%.
Well, 89 is below 90%.
So it's not fake.
So this is real. Yeah, I know.
And I didn't say this earlier about Crimea, but not that voting is the proper way to do such things, right? Unless it was an absolute 100% vote, literally. Everyone turned out and everyone voted for it. Still isn't binding on
or if individuals still got to succeed if they voted.
Right. If you could redraw the line around the people that didn't, whatever.
Exactly, right.
But is it so hard to believe that the people of Crimea don't think this is an important enough issue to actually show up and vote?
It's kind of like
the affirmative.
It's kind of like the populace of the United States of America when there's an election for like the president or something.
Yeah, nobody shows up.
Exactly.
Because nobody cares.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, what does it matter which guy that represents two sets of values that are really only different in very minor ways?
Well, that's a really interesting thought experiment. Imagine if there was a referendum in the U.S. for another secession of the South or some section. Everyone would show up regardless of how they voted, right?
Oh, sure.
Everyone's going to show up to either be for it or oppose it. So the fact that everyone showed up and it was 95% for is not really that...
I actually think most libertarians even would show up for that one.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know that I would, but most libertarians
I definitely
would
show up. But
you would. Your principles are bendable.
Ouch! Cuts me deep.
It does.
All right, enough on secession.
All right, well, I really know what you want to talk... Oh, enough on secession? We're not going to talk about Scotland now? Other than saying it's going to come later.
Well, we have nothing to say about it.
Well, this article that you picked is like 90% Scotland and 1%, 10% Venice. To make my percentages add up correctly. Did you notice that? Because it's the Daily Mail, they have to talk about Scotland like the whole time.
Oh, I didn't.
It's ridiculous. Oh, yeah, like the pictures even.
Oh, yeah, Scotland's future in the Venice.
Exactly. It's like, come on. Oh, wow. The last line of this article is fantastic. The 5-day poll came in the same week that Crimean residents chose in a landslide vote to leave the Ukraine and become part of Russia.
See, there you
but that is Putin annexing Crimea instead of Crimea voting to secede from Ukraine.
It's all about the words.
I guess. Words have meaning, Andy.
Sometimes they do. They're supposed to, at least.
When I say them, they do.
Damn it. All right, on this episode, we're bringing back the New York Times Bestseller rundown, we'll call it, segment.
It's been a
long segment
been
title.
A little bit.
But last time we did fiction, and I read the titles, and Aaron described, without looking, the covers, what the covers looked like, and I'd say he got 70% right, which was uncanny. We're going to do this a little different. We're just going to do a rundown of the top 10 hardcover nonfiction for the week of April 6th.
Hardcover nonfiction is automatically code for self-help books, right?
One would think, and one would be right, since number one is 10% Happier, How I Tamed the Voice in My Head, Reduced Stress Without Losing My Edge. Hang on, I got to take a break in the middle of the title. And Found Self-Help That Actually Works, A True Story.
When you have to defend your subtitle, your book sucks. And then on top of that, did you see this glass on the cover?
I didn't click on the cover. I clicked on Dan Harris, the author, and found out he works for ABC News, and then I went on to number 2.
Well, I clicked on the cover,
I see.
and I realized that there's a glass that's half full, but he's only 10% happier. So why would it be half full? Was he a pessimist before? Now he's right at the borderline?
Now he's in the middle.
He was a 40% pessimist before. Now he's like right on the border.
You know, if you're going to write a self-help book, don't you think you just lie? 100% happier, 200% happier?
1 bajillion% happier. That would be better than having a giant title like this. Wow.
And
what is the deal with the last name Harris?
I actually got confused by that too. I thought it might have been the other Harris guy, but
yeah.
All right, let's move along. We got a lot to go through here. Number 2, The Promise of a Pencil: How an Ordinary Person Can Create Extraordinary Change.
Okay, this one I have to say, if we had been doing the covers, I would have gotten this one.
Really?
Oh yeah, the author with disadvantaged children. It had to be that.
See,
how an ordinary person can create extraordinary change.
You know, that subtitle, we should do a search on that. That's probably been used over and over and over again as a subtitle.
That's a subtitle. They just changed the rest of it. Uh-oh.
No, I did not read about this guy that wrote this one. Adam Braun?
Yeah, he began working summers at hedge funds when he was just 16 years old.
But then he saved the world?
Yeah, with pencils.
What I do know is that Richard Branson is a big fan, so...
Is he really? How do you know this?
It says right in the bio. Richard Branson described...
I didn't read the bio.
For anyone looking to transform the world, this book will show you how.
Holy cow, this gets 5 stars, 145 customer reviews.
It's awesome. I recommend you buy like 10 copies in hardcover. Use them to light your fireplace with.
Oh,
number 3. Let's go to number 3.
No. You got to hear this first. There's 144 5 stars. There's 1 3-star, and the 3-star says, hopeful, but a life for the wealthy. Shocker.
Sounds like something only a hedge fund manager would do.
Even if you're a genius, you got to have parents in the industry to be 16 and at a hedge fund, right?
That's great. Yes. Number 3.
No, just don't. Let's just skip it.
We can't.
Can we do that?
We can't. We have to at least read the title. Uganda Be Kidding Me by Chelsea Handler. I think a moment of silence is in order here.
Yeah, I tried to say something, but my face wouldn't. I don't.
Now, Chelsea Handler, she's one of those people that's famous for being famous, right?
She does
stupid things and then she's famous?
I think she's actually supposed to be a comic.
Oh, really?
I think.
She's supposed to be funny?
I think.
Okay.
Yes. Chelsea Handler. Oh, here, in case you didn't know, just here. This is who she is. Chelsea Handler is an accomplished stand-up and actress. No, stand-up comic and actress.
Stand-up actress. She's a stand-up actress.
Well, it's the same thing. As well as the best-selling author of My Horizontal Life.
Oh, my gosh. All right.
Let's stop there.
It's no need to read any further. All right, number 4. This is the Confession of Bill O'Reilly. It's called Killing Jesus.
By Martin Dugard.
No, it's by Bill O'Reilly. His name's on the cover of the book.
I understand that, but on Amazon it says Killing Jesus by Martin Dugard.
I'm sure you're wrong. It says Bill O'Reilly on the cover.
That's nice, but I'm telling you.
Listen, he previously confessed to killing Lincoln and Kennedy, so I'm pretty sure it's him.
All right.
I don't know why. This is one of those like Tom Clancy books that he wrote after he died, right? They put his name on the cover. 99.9% ghost written by somebody else.
Is Bill O'Reilly dead?
How would you tell?
I didn't hear any mass cheering. So
Number 5. This is one
Wow, you're right. I would make fun of dead people.
Yes, see?
Even when they're not dead yet.
This is one I might actually read.
Yes.
By Malcolm Gladwell. David and Goliath, Underdogs, Misfits, and the Art of Battling Giants. His other books are actually on my to-read list. Tipping Point and Outliers. I know I'm 8 years and 14 years behind, but
yeah.
From the excerpts I've read of his books, they're pretty good. So I'm not going to knock this one.
Oh, and you got to like a guy that comes back to his faith years later, too.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's a cool thing.
All right, number 6. This would have been a good one for you to describe the cover up as well. The cover,
I might have gotten this one, too, actually.
Unbroken. What is up with these long subtitles?
Is that the C in the background? It's got to be the C, right?
Yeah, it is. Unbroken, a World War II story of survival, resilience, and redemption. By...
All of these have colons.
Yes. Laura Hillenbrand.
Who's that?
She also wrote Seabiscuit.
Ugh.
And because they knew no one would buy this book otherwise, they put that on the cover above the title.
Well, let's see. A World War II story by the author of Seabiscuit. This will be a movie in 1, 2, 3.
Now, is it?
I think it's a movie.
Is it a Lifetime movie or is it like an ABC movie?
Oh, no. It really says it here, too. Number 1 New York Times bestseller, soon to be a major motion picture. Oh, man.
Now,
it's disturbing.
This next one, prepare yourself because you might be upset. Number 7 is Not Cool, the Hipster Elite and Their War on You.
That's a lie. I still have a beard. Thank you very much.
Now, I'm going to cherry pick a couple sentences out of the description here. But it's all about how the hipsters are the cool people and they're trying to kill you and they're deadly and I don't even know what he's talking about. But then it says...
I thought this guy was a hipster.
From the cover, you would think that. It says the cool, those are the hipsters, fawn over terrorists, mock the military, and denigrate employers. They are, in short, awful people.
I should keep my beard and I need to get some ironic t-shirts.
You should do that, and you should also square that part about fawning over terrorists, mocking the military, and denigrating employers with the last sentence, which says...
They are, in short, awful people? Oh, the all the way at the end.
In Not Cool, Greg Gutfeld, if that's your real name, best-selling author of The Joy of Hate, lays out the battle plan...
Well...
lays out the battle plan for reclaiming the real American idea of cool. Building businesses, protecting freedom at home and abroad, taking responsibility for your actions, and the best part, leaving other people alone to live as they damn well please. I'm confused, Greg.
So Jim Gaffigan tweeted that the only thing he's eating on his salads is freedom dressing.
Yes.
That's all I can think of right now. Like, okay, so, like, maybe I'm excited about the prospect of some troops going over to Russia or the Ukraine or whatever you want to call it over there.
Yep.
Ukrussia. So I'm excited about troops going to Ukrussia to defend my freedom over there. Isn't that what he said?
Basically.
Protecting freedom at home and abroad.
Abroad.
So they're protecting my freedom in Ukrussia.
And
well, that's probably because I'm an American.
And if you don't like that, you're a hipster elite, and you're waging war on people.
Well, we already knew I was an elitist.
Listen, this has...
no idea I was a hipster, though.
Listen, I'm just going to scroll back up here real quick and tell you that Bill O'Reilly's book has 4.5 stars, Chelsea Handler's book has 4 stars, and this one also has 4.5 stars, so... good company.
If you buy it now, you get 40% off too.
40% off the book. That's great. Number 8 is The Future of the Mind, with a colon, the scientific quest to understand, enhance, and empower the mind.
This is the most interesting sounding book after the Malcolm Gladwell book.
It is. It's by the Michio Kaku, the guy on the Science Channel, talking about the Big Bang Theory and other such things. Friends with Neil deGrasse Tyson.
We need a little sounder right there that says, who? Sorry.
Crickets. You needed crickets?
Yeah, you needed a crickets. New York Times bestselling author of Physics of the Impossible, Physics of the Future, and Hyperspace. Those all sound like good books too, actually.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know that I could read one of these kind of books about...
I don't think I could either.
I mean, it says stars and galaxies and neurons in the brain in the same sentence, as if they're related somehow, so... I'm going to move along. Number 9. Story of the Jews. I'm sorry.
Did you just criticize a book because of the description of the book?
I did. That description was from Booklist.
Yeah, well.
The Story of the Jews, colon, finding the words 1000 BC to 1492 AD.
I found the words 1000 BC to 1492 AD right on the cover.
I don't have to read the other 150 pages.
That could be an interesting book, actually.
It could be.
I don't have any criticism of this.
Well, it's 512 pages, actually. Oh, this is book 1. My gosh.
I do have some criticisms of this now, though.
I don't have that much
I'll
time.
read a biography of Nelson, Lord Admiral Nelson that's, 1,000 pages and 2 volumes of 1,000 pages, but I'm not going to read about Jews for 512 pages. Wow. I realized as I was
how that was going to sound when it came out.
No. Actually, I said that because I wanted to make fun of myself because I was about to say, that's really long, 512 pages. Then I realized, oh, crap.
But I read 1,000 pages.
I've read a longer book about one guy.
I can't spend 500 pages on an entire race of people.
Yeah. Maybe I'll read this one.
Number 10.
Recompense.
Now, number 10 is interesting because if I recall correctly, it was actually on some other list that we looked at on another podcast a long time ago. Lean In, colon, Women, Work, and the Will to Lead by Sheryl Sandberg.
Okay, so at first when it said Lean In, colon, Women, I thought it was another diet book.
You don't remember this? I'm sure we talked about this on another podcast.
I don't remember this one.
Yes.
I mean, it's so forgettable. How did you remember it?
I think I described it, and you actually, or read the title, and you described the cover perfectly. Your gift must be waning.
Not necessarily. I might still be able to describe these covers. It may be just that I can't remember what they are.
Well, number 10 is another self-help book, just like...
what is Deckle Edge? Explain that to me.
I don't know what we're talking about.
It says Lean In, Women, Work, and the Will to Lead. Hardcover, Deckle Edge. What the heck does that mean? Sorry.
Now we have to find out what a Deckle Edge is.
Deckle.
This ended up being a whole other podcast when we did this last time.
I'm sorry.
It's a removable wooden frame or fence used in manual papermaking.
Oh, it's that like torn edges on the books.
I gotcha. Does that make it look nicer? I hate that, actually, because I can never flip the next page with my thumb because the page is always shorter than the one behind it.
The first time I saw one like that, I was like, oh, it's so cool. It looks old. And then I tried to read the book and
you threw it away.
This sucks. And then I went back and bought another copy of it with
without Deckle Edge.
Tabs on every page.
Sheryl Sandberg, ladies and gentlemen.
There's nothing to say here, right?
No. And if we continue...
30 years after women became 50% of the college graduates in the United States, men still hold the vast majority of leadership positions in government and industry. Oh,
I think
terrible.
What we'll do is we'll have Walter Block on to talk about Sheryl Sandberg's book.
Then he can get crucified for us.
Exactly. We can't continue any further because the next book is by Charles Krauthammer, and I can't say those words on a podcast. So,
wait, hold on. Now I want to hear it. Hold on. Oh, it's got a colon. We got to keep going.
Oh, it's
the next two have a colon. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They all have. I give up. All of the rest of them have colons.
Does every nonfiction book have a subtitle?
It does now.
All the way to number 20. You're right.
All the way to 20. That's disturbing.
Well, when I write mine, oh, you know what?
Guns,
Chelsea
a
Handler.
rebuttal. Guns, colon, a rebuttal. Need I say more?
I think we need to end right there. Thanks for listening. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Until then, spit on your hands and hoist the black flag.